Hi, everyone. This is Michael Condon on the TooMedToo Star Wars Network, and this is the Holocron House. Right now, I am doing the visual dictionary for the Rise of Skywalker. And with me tonight, as the other night, and hopefully many more in the future, is none other than Rural Farm Boy.
Evening, Star Wars friends.
So this is kind of a impromptu. It's not really on a schedule or anything.
Star Wars Network, and this is the.
Oh,
We're good. Go.
Okay.
We're good.
It's whenever. I still have the Bacta tank that I do every Monday, at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, where anybody can come join in. This one is just me going over some books I have. Because I have a ton of them, so I mean that's content forever that we have going over those books, and with friends being able to come and talk about it and ask questions, and I have a few tricks up my sleeve so that when we get talking.
Oh no, Michael's done skipped out. Well, friends. In his absence, where we left off at was right here. The story so far. Hope Michael's coming back pretty soon. Because we then recently covered the timeline. The before and after Starkiller Base incident. So now there's Michael.
I'm back. You know how that technology works sometimes. It's had to make sure I had everything all set up right, and you never know what's going to happen then. But yeah, so
wonderful.
I was leaving work, and I had a couple things I had to do because I'm leaving tomorrow to go to Buffalo to go visit some friends and family for my birthday. And I had the great idea that I have in my parents' attic and at my sister's house a bunch of my toys from when I was a kid that have just been boxed up for years and years. And I said, you know what? I should probably take a look and see what kind of Star Wars toys I have in there, because I know there's some that are probably pretty good. I don't know what kind of condition they are. They could be missing arms or have heads bitten off of them, or whatever it is. But while I'm there, I'm going to take a look at that. So that's something that we can probably talk about Monday night too. Hopefully, hopefully I'll be able to get a stream in. I'm not really sure. While I'm there, I'm going to go see Star Wars with my father. So that will make every Star Wars movie in the Disney era that I've seen with him. Even though we don't live by each other, we've always managed to do that somehow. So, everybody's in the chat so far. Christina, Mr. Rez, and Nick, thank you for joining us. And this, like everything else, is brought to you by my Patreons. We have Rural Farm, or patrons, I guess. I have the Patreon. Rural Farm Boy, and Mr. Rez, Chris from Kentucky, and Kylo Customs, and our newest Patreon member, Christina Flores.
Yay!
So that's about it for all the talking, I guess. And so if you have your copy, go ahead and you grab your copy so that you can talk with Anthony and I about this book and page through it. And if for some reason you don't have this book, which I'm going to probably say that there's a good chance that those of you joining us, some of you do not have the book. Well, in that case, you can always do this and follow along with us.
Mm-hmm.
All right. This is the way. So, I know Anthony, while I was gone for that second or two or whatever it was, gave you a quick. Anthony, you do have a little echo on coming through, I believe, on your end. Or I'm getting a little echo from you, I think. I don't know.
What can I do to fix it?
Maybe nothing. So, I don't know, but we'll
Volume
see.
down a little bit, and we'll see what that does.
That might be it. It might be a little bit coming through. I know my girlfriend can hear, depending on how loud my headphones are, can sometimes hear my headphones when she's sitting next to me, because they're great for noise canceling. They're just not great for canceling noise out to other people.
Mm-hmm.
But so we went through. Anthony just told you what we went through last time. We're up to the
story so far.
Okay. You want to go for it, or do you want me to go for it, sir?
The story so far? I
Sure.
will take this in.
All right.
Glad to. The Galactic Civil War has passed into history. On countless worlds, the broken debris of legendary battles lies silently rusting, forgotten by a galaxy that wishes to move on from its painful past. For most, the heroic rebellion against the Empire is now just a dramatic tale. A story told to children and grandchildren. But for some, 30 years is merely the blink of an eye. Hidden in the shadows of the unknown regions, the descendants of the Empire have been watching, waiting to reclaim what they see as their rightful rule over the galaxy. Few see this as a threat for what it really is, and those that do are shunned, derided of fantasists and warmongers. Leia Organa can sense the conflict that is inevitable, and she has created a small force of armed partisans, which she has dubbed the Resistance. But she knows all of her preparation will be for nothing without the help of her brother, the Last Jedi. In this most desperate hour, she sends one of her most trusted officers on a secret mission to find Luke and gain his help in the war that threatens to engulf the galaxy.
All right. So
R2 bloop and bleep, turn the page.
Okay, so we're starting off with the First Order. The First Order is the result of a vast conspiracy decades in the making. Seemingly unrelated events and their consequences can now, with the benefit of hindsight, be seen to be part of an elaborate plan with a shadowy mastermind at its center. The First Order as a regime became known to the wider galaxy as a result of a separatist scheme, which succeeded a block of star systems that wanted a more centralized style of government than that offered by the New Republic. What was dismissed as merely political games by some was actually cover for a military expansion that, following years of preparation, brought the return of tyrannical fascism and deadly militarism to the galaxy. All right, so this is what we find out. The First Order, is not just something that's kind of new. This has been in the works for a long time. And then we have the picture of Hux. That looks like that picture is from
Force Awakens.
Yeah, because you have Phasma there.
Yep.
So the firing of the Star Killer weapon is specifically engineered through space-time bending
Quintessence. Yep.
quintessence
Yep.
physics to be seen across the galaxy as a horrifying example of the First Order's might. It is meant to encourage surrender with a single shot. For many undefended worlds, it works.
It sure
And that,
does. That's really scary stuff.
yeah, because you had the Death Star that could destroy a planet, and that was bad enough. But now this can destroy a whole system.
Yeah, and it surely did. The Hosnian system.
The
5
Hosnian-
planets gone all at the same time. How ain't that scary stuff? That's scary stuff.
And then we have over here on the side the First Order symbol. It looks like I don't really know how to explain it. What the symbol looks like. It's a.
It does have a name that I've encountered recently, though that name's just escaping me for the moment. But it has it reminds me of a symbol with 5 outward pointing arrows that are connected together in the center that are called, and maybe some folks might know what this is, and it's kind of related to Star Trek in a kind of way. It's called Chaos, but the First Order emblem has 16 of them same. And maybe it's in relation to some kind of chaos, if you're taking my meaning. And I hope somebody in the live chat can speak to that.
Well, I mean, I'm not. I can understand what you're saying, but I'm not really into Trek. The first time I've really been into Trek is right now, and that is with Picard. So
okay, yeah, I'm pretty schooled in Trek because my mom grew up with Trek, but we're talking Rise of Skywalker right now, so don't want to derail this. So on we go.
All right. So then we have a picture of our 3 leaders of the First Order. We have Captain Phasma, Kylo Ren, and General Hux. It tells us that Captain Phasma's armor is salvaged Imperial era chromium. Kylo Ren is shrouded in masked visage to impose fear in the tradition of Darth Vader. And Hux, also known as Hugs, is the precision tailored military uniform, invokes Imperial imagery. The First Order leaders, the vanguard of the First Order leadership, is strikingly young, a new generation of adherents to the ideals of an old empire who never experienced that regime firsthand. These commanders, Kylo Ren, General Hux, and Captain Phasma, bring a zeal that makes up for their lack of experience or the wisdom of age. Far from the front lines, elder leaders who had been part of the empire watch approvingly. Further still, veiled in secrecy, is their true leadership, driven by the tenets of the dark side of the Force and the ancient ways of the Sith. So here we go. This is, the first time we're really hearing about the Sith being behind things, because Kylo Ren, and although we've not been introduced to him yet, Snoke were not Sith. They were just dark side users.
Yep.
So we'll find out probably a little bit more of that. But we also see a picture, and it says the image of endless legions of white armored troopers was a symbol of galactic salvation during the Clone Wars. The First Order has appropriated this heritage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is clearly something. It's something we're familiar with, but it's clearly something very new, very different.
But it's something that you see out of a lot of the military nations where they're lined up and it's just hundreds of rows of them. You get a lot of that now with like the North Koreans and with Russia, especially back in the 80s when they would march and it would just be rows upon rows or seas as far as you could see of the military men and them all being in step together. So then we have our first ship, the Finalizer, flying in the face of the New Republic's disarmed campaigns. The First Order kept warship production active and hidden shipyards managed by profiteering corporations. And secret, it produced a new generation of resurgent class star destroyers and even mightier dreadnoughts. Just talks a little bit about that. And then Fact File, the First Order Stormtrooper program developed by the late Brendel Hux, Armitage's father, centered on training potential soldiers from early childhood. Each world, newly annexed by the First Order and its expanding territories, became a source of new recruits to the cause. So that's something that we've, pretty much known or assumed. Obviously, we've all seen the movies, but that's where we know that Finn was taken at a young age, and we know that a lot of the other ones were taken at the same time. We will find out later on in this book about Jannah and how she was taken at a young age by the First Order, and how someone else's a OT original trilogy character, their daughter was taken at the same time. So that might be something we'll be talking about later. I'd say we'll talk about it sometime soon, but this is a really deep book, or really 250-page book, and depending on how things go and conversations go, especially in the chat, we might only cover a couple pages at a time because like tonight, this is going to be probably about 45 minutes or an hour. We might only cover 2 or 3 pages. We could cover 10. I don't really know. It all depends on how things go. Every day is going to be different. So let's go to the timeline. The timeline, 80 BSI, which we know is 80 years before
30
or 30 years. What did I say? Okay.
No, we're good.
I've been at work all day, so I came home and haven't even really had time to decompress. I hit you up and I said, "Hey, you want to talk about some Star Wars really quick?" Because I got some time from when I get home from work and my girlfriend gets home. So I bought some flowers and some balloons and stuff. So I'm all good because we don't really celebrate Valentine's Day or any of those holidays because that's one of those things. If we want something, we just kind of go and buy it for each other. So one single rose and a little balloon, that's what she's gonna get. We don't need to spend a lot of money. It's instead of getting a couple dozen roses, I could go buy her some tickets to go see a Broadway show or something like that, or whatever, something for the house, something that's more enjoyable and not going to be dead to prove my love. So
I gotcha. I spent Valentine's Day with my Star Wars podcast playlist. Them are my Valentines. And on we go. 30 years before Starkiller incident.
The Battle of Endor.
Yep.
The Emperor dies in Death Star 2's destruction. Interesting. 29 BSI. The Battle of Jakku. Imperial holdouts retreat into the unknown regions. That would be some aftermath, I believe, going on in that one.
Sir. Yes, sir.
29 through 19 BSI. Speaking of that, I'm gonna have to. I never got too much into the that trio of books, that series of books. I think I'm gonna have to aftermath.
Which one? Oh, aftermath. I did. I surely did. I dived in deep.
I think after I have a couple more of these books to go through. I think maybe I'll put that back on the playlist. Some of the books I wasn't too fond of, maybe give them a re-listen and see if my opinion changes, especially that trilogy. Now that it's kind of complete, and see if it changes my mind on it. But
I hope so, because I dived in deep. And that very first story of just the first book called Aftermath. For me, I know some folks had some concerns and issues with how it was wrote or read or told, or how it's not like how other stories are told. I loved that story for all what it was, for what Mr. Wendig went and done. Because when I listen, you and me, Michael, we're both audiophiles. We listen more than we read. But that first story, that first Aftermath book was just I couldn't get enough. And with the interludes and everything that he went and shared and told us that story, that to me was just pure gold, in my opinion. I know some folks don't think that's a good story, but for me, I just love that story. And I can go and give it a listen again and again and again. Just tell me.
But I mean, that's kind of the whole point. Is you really liked it, and I was just kind of it was okay. If it really didn't tie too much into possibly this last movie, I would go back at some point in time and read it, but it wouldn't be a priority. Now it's kind of more up there as the priority list, but not something I don't like. But you don't see me going around screaming from all holy hell about it from my soapbox. That's just it's not my thing, so I don't talk about it.
No.
But anyways, let's talk about the taming of the unknown. Surviving Imperial forces are met by secret reinforcements in uncharted space. That's 29 through 19 BSI. So, yeah, that's some stuff we got going on. 5 BSI, secession of centrist systems and New Republic, public formation of First Order.
Ooh, that's coming into Bloodline.
Mm-hmm.
That story, yeah. Okay.
So we got so we're gonna have to see if we get some more stories tying these books that we've gotten into what we have as more canon, and so some reinforcements on that, and we'll see. Zero.
Yeah, right there.
The Star Killer fires on and destroys the New Republic capital.
Hosting system, all 5 planets gone.
0 ASI. The Resistance destroys the Star Killer. 0 ASI again. Kylo Ren slays Snoke, becoming Supreme Leader. And 1 ASI. Discovery of Sith Eternal Loyalist of Exegol. Now, this is stuff we don't know about. We are finding this out in this book.
Yeah, we're just learning. This is new stuff.
Maybe we'll find out some more in comics or new books or some things like that. Or, I don't know. No one. Here you go, Anthony. Nobody knows what Project Luminous is about, but we're about to soon.
Somebody knows, just not us.
Well, that's we're the ones that matter.
Yeah, for now. Somebody knows, just not us.
Which I'll let you know right now. Project Luminous is being announced on the 24th.
It is.
That is a Monday.
And on that Monday, we'll all know. They're going to share some things some folks are speculating about, but on that Monday, then we'll all know. And we can get that speculation
you know what else?
down.
You know what else happens on Mondays?
What's that?
The Bacta tank.
It does.
It
sure
does.
does.
and there's already some people possibly that are going to be hopping in the box tank with us.
Oh, really?
Yes, sir.
Maybe such as, you want to give a spoiler or two? Kind of?
Maybe some bombad people.
I'm not going to go and name any kind of Scotty or Jerry names.
Okay. Maybe a friend of mine that likes to get a little crazy with me and do some Coruscant corners.
Coruscant Corners. All right.
Coruscant coach's corner.
Oh, dang.
Poss-
Trip me
poss-
up.
my other show that I have sometimes with a friend of mine, the Coruscant Coach's Corner, where we've been talking about the Mandalorian.
So I ain't going to go and name any kind of Mike Pappas names.
I mean, he said if he can make it, he will. He doesn't even show up to his own podcast half the time, so
I know.
so I can't.
Mikey.
But that's hey, we all got busy. We're all busy, so whatever we can do, we can do, and
Yes.
that's how it is.
Only one never busy is me.
And then
I come home and I'm not busy.
And then I got a few other people that I've talked to, and their their possibilities, just depending on how things go, because it's kind of short notice and far away at the same time. So I might be able, that's the kind of thing. You give somebody 10 days notice. It's like, well, I don't have plans, but I can't confirm it yet, or something like that. So yeah, so we got a couple other people. We got some feelers out to talk to, because if we I can talk. If Mike does show up, we got him to talk about video games with, because they're supposed to have video games in there. If somebody else is able to make it, that's some comic book people to talk to. I can talk with some bombastic people about general books and movies and things like that. I got a couple other people out trying to get to talk about books or whatever, just kind of get it. I probably can't get everybody all at one time, and it would be kind of crazy. So just whenever people can stop by. So we'll see what happens. But anyways, let's get back to this book.
Yes, we are at the coming of a supreme leader, which captions a supreme leader Snoke image, as I see.
Yes, sir. I was reading it.
Go ahead.
No, because I've had this book since it came out, and I've skimmed it, but I haven't actually sat down and read it. That's part of the reason I'm doing this too, is so I could I'm forcing myself to go through and read it.
That's actually also, you and me both.
Also sharing it with our friends and stuff to talk about, and if people have questions or anything else they want to talk about. So it says here, with Snoke, extensive scarring and twisted build, confounded attempts to identify Snoke's species. Now here's my thing I was thinking about too.
What's that?
Now, we don't know this yet in the book, but we know this in real life, or what we consider real life. We know Snoke is a clone now. But now is Snoke? I don't know. Is Snoke a clone from Snoke, or is Snoke a clone of the Emperor that they were trying to bring back? They just couldn't get it right because the people over on Exegol, which we'll find out later on. Well, we'll go down here to Snoke's data file. Subject, Snoke. Homeworld, Exegol. Species unknown, quite possibly unique. Affiliation, First Order. He's 2.18 meters, which is 7 feet 2 inches tall. His age is unknown. So this gets, this brings up more questions that we're gonna maybe have answers to later on in the book, or what was he part Kaminoan and Emperor, and that's what they got, and because they didn't have it done properly, or the proper cloning facilities to use, they just kind of got crap, and that's what he turned out to be. Or maybe we'll find out later on in the book. Or if anybody in our chat has anything that they any ideas or any views on that, feel free to let us know. The chat seems awfully quiet. We're talking about some good stuff, and everybody's watching football now, or whatever. I guess there's no football, so they must be watching soccer. But anyways, to get back to this, the coming of Supreme Leader. In time, Imperial area leaders like Grand Admiral Ray Sloan, General Brendel Hux, and Allegiant General Pride would make way for the rise of Supreme Leader Snoke, heir apparent to the contingency crafted by Emperor Palpatine before his demise. Snoke gave no indication as to his origins, but possessed the knowledge and the force ability that made him undisputed heir. Strangely, he made no design on the old title of Emperor, and his force abilities were not explicitly of the Sith heritage that Palpatine embodied as Darth Sidious. Snoke seemed content to focus on spiritual matters, ceding control of the military to generals and the shaping of First Order's public image to propaganda masterminds. Some, like Pride, came to peer behind the veil and realize that Snoke himself was subservient to an unseen force. Okay, so that that we didn't know. We thought that Snoke was the big bad. He was the heavy. So, now we find out that other people knew that he wasn't.
No, but that last line makes me think that he was just like a quarter step under where we weren't sure, or we didn't know that Palpatine's behind it all. And Snoke was that quarter step just underneath. And as we're told, he's unique. So that means he's something to his own self. A very unique thing or being. And we still don't know exactly what that is. But he still has, he's just as powerful as Palpatine was, but in his own unique way. And can't be a clone of Palpatine because he's 7 feet tall. Palpatine weren't nearly 7 feet tall. But this has got to do, I'm going to go and guess, in my opinion, this has got to do something with, how do I go and say?
Well, if your cloning process isn't up to par or up to snuff, you're going to have some problems with it. So that's why if they didn't have, if they're cloning him on Exegol but don't have the proper cloning facilities, they might have to be doing some things that you and I wouldn't do to clone Palpatine. Just to get his body in there. Like they were saying, like when, the discussion was about Rey and, whether she was a clone of Palpatine or not. Well, if she was a clone of Palpatine, technically she couldn't be a clone because he's the, if you knew anything about genetics and cloning, it would be a male and a male, not a male and a female. But they could adjust some of the DNA to change it. They may have been trying to mess around with the DNA while they were cloning him, so it wouldn't be a direct copy for whatever reason, and that's why he came out like that. But then again, this is complete speculation also, and we might find out in some more material about Snoke and more of the backstory of him. Not crying, oh, we need Snoke's backstory, but some more information about him, because there has to be something about them, because Leia even says to Han, you know, it's Snoke's fault. So they obviously know it's Snoke's fault. And
yes, they knew Han and Leia knew who Snoke was.
so there's more to that story that has to be told, whether it's tomorrow or in 20 years from now, or a comic book or a book or whatever, or maybe we never get it. Who knows? Somebody knows.
Somebody always knows. We just don't know who that somebody is. So that makes me go and wonder, did they not get all the conformities to get Snoke correct? And that's how we see what his deformities are, because they couldn't get that straightened out from the crack in his skull that we see. They couldn't get that. They couldn't get that quite straightened out. But yeah, from the crack in his skull and from the sunken cheek on his left side, they couldn't get that clearly straight. So is that what that means? And I'm looking forward to the story to tell us what that means.
Well, I mean, it could have been maybe it's because maybe they cloned a bald Jedi who fell a bunch of feet and was electrocuted. You know where I'm going with this one? The rumor that Snoke was Mace Windu.
No, Mace is dead.
But
this
do you remember
is clearly something new? But I get where you're going.
Yeah. Well, that was you know, people were saying maybe it's Mace Windu because he didn't really die and whatever. But you know, people, you know, your Snoke theory sucks.
Thank you, Steele.
Yeah, that will live on forever. Especially when you have Ryan Johnson holding up that sticker.
Ooh, I'm just taking a look over here to the left on that same page, which is page 13. Adding to Snoke's mysterious reputation is his unwillingness to meet in person with his underlings. The reclusive Supreme Leader more often communicates solely with larger-than-life holo projections. Snoke stays ever mobile, transmitting his throne aboard his enormous flagship, the Supremacy. Specific targets, however, like Rey, or information concerning Luke Skywalker, stir him into direct action. Yeah. How many folks have ever, in the First Order, have ever come face to face with Supreme Leader Snoke? I can think of only 2 that ever have. And however he chose to reveal himself, he does it by way of hologram. And the only other 2 folks that ever in that story revealed himself person to person was General Hux, and I'm just going to go and say Ben Solo because his name's Ben. It's not Kylo Ren. His name's Ben. That's the only 2.
Okay, well, you know, and then there's the other thing. We have the Kylo Ren comics that are out right now. Maybe we'll find out did Ben Solo know him? Did Leia and Han and Luke know him?
That's an interesting question because
as Snoke, or did Ben not know him until he became Kylo Ren, or Snoke found him? So you know, this is all more questions than that we need answers to, which we'll hopefully get sooner than later. But to finish off this page, we have
Mhm.
Luke Skywalker's continued existence is a loose thread Snoke cannot afford to ignore. When
Mhm.
word reaches him that the Resistance is undertaking a concerted effort to find the Jedi Master, Snoke dispatches his apprentice Kylo Ren to stop them. This leads to confrontation with Laura Santeca, an old acquaintance who had helped Luke piece together Jedi lore in past years. And Laura Santeca, they talk about Laura Santeca in some of the new books, I believe, or at least one of the new books that came out around the same time as like the Force Collector or all the ones for Batu. I know he's mentioned in there a bit, but
Hmm. This still leads me to wonder how, just how did both Han and Leia know about Snoke? And hmm, I'm hoping, I'm really hoping there's going to be a story that's going to tell us how they also know who he is. And I'm wondering if that comes for Bloodline, that story we're told. Because in my mind, I'm thinking that time, that previous, before 6 years, as Bloodline's told, they're already, they got knowledge of who Snoke is. And I want to know, I'm hoping they're going to tell us what that story is because they're already familiar with him. So we'll see.
yeah, that's the big question. Do they know
Yeah.
Snoke because Kylo Ren is with him now, or was Snoke around in the shadows before, waiting, biding his time for this to happen? And we know the Emperor was around, so we still need answers on when the Emperor came around and how he was brought back to life. And he says in the movie that he's died before, but
Mhm.
you get crazy me like, well, did he actually die when Death Star 2 blew up, or was that blue mist fog haze thing, like, was that his essence that got trapped there? Did he survive somehow through that by that mist fog haze? And when he talked about dying was another time because he found the way to become immortal, but his body was so destroyed. I mean, there's just so many things that are up in the air that we have questions now. They're not important questions. They're just to go along with the story.
Yeah, there's many, there's 30 plus years of stories where you have to be told, and they're going to be really good ones. And these questions are among them stories that we're going to be told. There's lots to fill in.
All right, so now that does it for that page,
Hmm.
and we're we're making progress. We're flipping pages, baby.
Here we go. The Resistance.
All right. So the Resistance we see up at top. We have Poe Dameron and BB-8.
And
BB-8 is a BB series astromech. We have Poe Dameron, a surplus New Republic flight suit dyed to match old Rebel Alliance colors. Which is, if you guys have been following me along with my Fallen Order plane, you have a few different outfits you can wear and a few different ponchos and things like. I don't like the ponchos. I think the ponchos kind of look silly. I am wearing a poncho now just because it's pink, so I got the pink poncho power going on. But my underlying clothes are a pilot uniform or pilot suit, which is very faded orange at this point in time. But that is what it is. So
I've seen Michael's pink poncho. Friends, come along and jump into that because you're gonna want to take a look.
okay, now we have.
Though I don't think pink is your best color, Michael, but that's just my opinion. Only means to me. You can do better.
I need a tan. It's really hard for
Yes.
it's really hard for a white pasty guy to wear pink or yellow. You need a darker skin tone, or if you're a white pasty guy like me, that Irish Polish skin color. I need a little bit of a tan. So right now, the middle of winter, I don't have too much tanning going on.
No, and I'm a half English, half Polish white guy with a farmer's tan, so I get what you're saying.
So it seemed like Leia Organa alone saw the coming storm. The movements of political players across the New Republic and the subsequential
Subsequential. Yep.
there you go. I got the word now. Subsequent succession of worlds to become the territorial heart, the First Order, seemed too sculpted to be happenstance. She was also politically compromised at a time when she could have been most effective, and ousted from the New Republic Senate by the scandalous revelation that Darth Vader was her father. Events that were intended to sideline her instead gave her the freedom to operate outside the confines of the New Republic protocol. She set to work building the resistance. And what Anthony spoke to earlier, we have Bloodlines, the novel, where
Yep.
she is at a luncheon or a dinner, a political dinner, and lo and behold, someone who's supposed to be a friend of hers outs that Darth Vader was her father. And then what kind of piece of shit is she if she's going to lie to us about who her father was? And, the apple never falls far from the tree, so she might just be just as bad biding her time. So she didn't have, that was not a good dinner for her to be at, or, well, in general, whatsoever. So.
Yeah, that fella you speak to was Ransom Castorpo. And in Rise of the Resistance, we see that he's found and he feels really badly about what he did. And he gets to come face to face with Leia. And I feel he's set free from what he done because she takes him back in. So here's to Ransom Castorpo. He was a good guy. He went. We thought he was a bad guy, but he set himself straight.
I mean, it was, he was playing politics, so who really knows? You can you try and he was a good guy that played dirty tricks to try and win, and realized that he shouldn't have done that. But if he would,
he ended up good in the end. He ended up
true.
on Leia's side.
Because what is Star Wars all about? Doing the right thing and redemption. Of course, in the real world, It doesn't really matter. You can be a horrible person and then do a couple of good things. That doesn't mean that all those other things are forgotten, or we still remember it. But you can always turn around and do good things, no matter how bad you've been in your life. It doesn't mean It doesn't mean we're gonna forgive you or forget, but there's always way to try and redeem yourself somehow.
Exactly. The real world aside, I'd rather be in this galaxy far, far away because the real world's a mess. So I'd just rather spend my time with my friends in this galaxy far, far away because the modern day world's a mess. So here's to my Star Wars friends Yuns are all my Valentines, I hope so, on this Valentine's Day.
Well, shucks. Oh yeah, and I don't know if I told you. So,
What?
the putting the Bacta tank into podcast form is a lot more difficult than I thought it was going to be, because when you're recording for a YouTube video, there's you and I might be talking to each other, and there's pauses in there while I'm waiting for you to do something or come back. That's different than if you and I were recording, so that for a podcast. So there's a lot of dead air time and things that noises or whatever that we're waiting for each other to jump in or whatever it is. So it's a lot more going through than I thought it was gonna. But the number three will be up soon enough. Even if it's what I do on my train ride tomorrow, I'll have that up at some point in time.
I'll be on the lookout for.
Okay. Then we have the new generation and the old work side by side on resistance operations. Poe Dameron grew up hearing tales of Admiral Akbar's military career and is honored to serve beside him. And we have a picture of Poe and Akbar. And that is going to be from The Force Awakens, I am pretty sure.
It is, surely is.
Okay. And then we have, it looks like Poe's X-Wing on Dakar base. The Resistance established its primary base in the Ilenium system. The role the family played in the early Rebel Alliance gave Leia access to secret planetary information, lists of worlds that had potential to become Rebel bases. She dusted off these old records and found Dakar, an unpopulated, verdant world. In the picture up there, we have Poe's black X-Wing with the red stripe. And then we have a picture of a T-70 X-Wing. Now, Rural Farm Boy, there's a few different X-Wings out there, isn't there?
Yes, sir, there is. There's, in fact, 4 different models of INCOM and later INCOM Free Tech X-Wings. The first were remembered, or we're kind of, we can think of, or T-65 from the original trilogy, and now in this new sequel trilogy, there's INCOM had a partnership, and they had with the FreeTech Starship builders, and they have T-70s, and Steele Saunders has a little bit of a problem with the T-85, but I also went and forgot the T-65B, which we're familiar with, Star Wars Resistance, that, why am I skipping out? It's,
Maybe a little bit too much spatchka?
no. Not nearly enough spatchka. No, I'm just blanking.
And the Resistance, the TV program? The cartoon?
Resistance. Yes, sir. I want to go and say it's...
Yeager ship?
No. The commander of... I twice blanked. I'm doing myself badly.
Not Poe Dameron,
No.
because he's got a T-70. Okay, well, maybe we'll get it. Maybe we'll come back to it.
We'll come back to it.
Maybe it'll be in here, or it'll give us something to look up. I'll look up if I remember. I'll put in my phone right now to look up. Now I also have to remember to look at this in order to do it. But I'll put in here to look up the different X-wings.
Benisa Doza. That's who I'm thinking of from Resistance.
Oh, okay.
Benisa. Yes, Benisa. Her X-wing is an Incom T-65B class starfighter. That's who I was thinking. Wow. Okay, caught myself. So we got a T-65A, we got a T-65B, we got a T-70, and we got a T-85, which is what we see Kaz in that first opening shot from Star Wars Resistance in when he faces off. He's trying to get the message over to the Resistance and faces off with what's the red TIE fighter pilot from the First Order? Major Von Reg.
Major Von Reg, yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Red Robin, but that didn't go well. Then I was gonna say the Red Ranger, but that wasn't right either. So I'm mixing all things up there.
But go to Red Robin and have some good food. Yes. That's them, that's them 4 X-Wings that I'm thinking of. But the most prevalent is the T-70, and in relation to what we're told is the rise of Skywalker, there ain't too many of them ships left. There's a small handful in the Resistance, and we see Poe still has one, and also does Snap Wexley. It's the one he goes down in. But let's see, where we going?
Well, we have the Resistance Command.
Okay.
The upper command of the Resistance originally consisted of veterans of the Rebel Alliance, personally recruited by Leia, and secret
entreaties.
She laid out her. I don't know if it's my glasses or what, but maybe I need new glasses. Maybe I'm going blind.
You're not going. You're good. I got your back.
She laid out her concerns regarding the First Order's militarization of the New Republic's inability to deal with it. Though some refused her invitation, others were stirred by her words. Jail Akbar, Colin Emat, Asho Satora, and Nianum were among the earliest. Sorry if I kind of butchered those names a little bit, but others like Wedgentellis,
Carlis Regan,
and Lando Calrissian. I'm not used to these people's first names. They don't have first names. It's Star Wars.
You're good.
Would take more time to stir from retirement. Few realized that before the First Order was even known to be a threat, many of the old commanders have been specifically targeted, either assassinated outright or emotionally hobbled by tragedies that ripped them from their military careers.
Ooh, that speaks a lot of bloodline to me, and also Rebecca Roanhorse, Rise of the Resistance.
Yeah,
yes, this is tying them 2 stories together. Wow, that's a lot of good storytelling right there. Wow.
No such thing as coincidences. Coincidize. Coinkydinks. And Star Wars.
I like coincidize. I like that. I'm going to use that.
Okay. And then resistance ships. The resistance is a perpetual lean operation, underfunded and understaffed. It has to make do with the equipment available, and this often means outdated surplus cast aside by others. Here we go. We got the T-70 X-Wing fighters, though cutting edge compared to the T-65s of previous generations, are outdated compared to the standards set by the New Republic's T-85s.
There, we just tied that up.
So there goes our conversation earlier. We got that all under control. Then we have a quote. We got a quote in here from Leia Organa. Not all senators think I'm crazy. I don't care what they think about me as long as they take action. That sounds like it should be from a Clone Wars cartoon. Something that they, I don't know, one of the George writing quotes that it would be, but I don't know. That's just me. It's just what it sounds like to me. So
I'm kind of wondering, and that's pretty quote specific, but I don't remember. I want to go and say I wonder if that's from.
It sounds like it's Bloodlines.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
It's definitely. I don't remember that from a movie. It's definitely from a book. So, the books the movies I've seen a ton of times. The books I've read once. So over the years, I'll go back over more books, but it's a lot harder to go through the books or to read the books and go through the books. But we have a little timeline, and we have the resistance symbol in here. And the resistance symbol is also the symbol that I have on my screen, except this one's orange or red and mine's yellow. I kind of stole that when I did my channel 2 years ago. But 6 BSI, Leia Organa leaves New Republic politics. 6 to 5 BSI, Leia forms resistance to operate separately from the New Republic.
Yep, that's in Bloodline times. Yep.
5 BSI, centrist worlds secede from the New Republic. 5 to 0 BSI, Cold War between New Republic and First Order. And 0 ASI, open war between Resistance and First Order. So, they just kind of sat there and said, we don't like you, you don't like us, we want to be in charge, you want to be in charge, and we'll see what happens. And that went on for a number of years. And through nefarious means, the First Order was able to gain more power and gain more weaponry by taking over worlds and assassinating people and whatnot. And the Resistance or the Republic just kind of played it fair, and they lost out. And then here's one. This is something I'm going to read. This is something I just think is completely fucking asinine. But we have Princess Leia. And she has her coat on, and it says, functional collar can be drawn up to protect against the elements. Dude, she's wearing a coat. Like, what else would your coat be for? Like, oh, here's her quote. Her coat. It's like used to cook eggs for breakfast. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what point that really has to let us know that it can be the coat's used to protect against the elements. But whatever.
I would take that to mean when she was on the car. Or no, Craig. The salt planet. That's what I would take that to mean.
I don't know. She was
on Crate and watching from that heavy shield door. For
are they trying to say? Are they trying to say that collar is the reason that she survived Leia Poppins? No. Well, we know it's because she has the Force, so she was able to use the Force to come back in. But I mean, what else would that have to do with anything? That
You remember when we seen her on crate,
I do,
looking through the shield door,
I
and
do.
she was shielding her face and looking outside that shield door for when the first order was coming, and that's how I take that meaning. When she was seeing the first order coming before Rose and Finn crash land in the shuttle, she was using that as a shield to kind of hide herself, to protect herself from that small part of the story. And I wish I had a picture to be able to share, but it's not in this book. Okay, let's carry on. Where are we going next?
All right, we're gonna go back. I forgot. We have a picture of the T-70 X-wing, and it lets you know that it has the electromagnetic gyroscope control system for the S-foil splayed into attack position for greater weapons and shield coverage. So when it turns into when it's just like a plane, it's just for flying. But when it goes into the X, that's for when you're going to be using the weapons and for the shield. It has Incom Free Tech 5L5 fusional thrust engine, an armored canopy with polarized transparent steel viewport,
Gotcha.
laser cannon cooling sleeve, and Tamenbach KX12 laser cannon. And Mr. Rez agrees with you, Rural Farm Boy.
In the way of how?
I'm gonna guess the Leia protect against the elements thing, but
gotcha.
But it's a coat. Why are you telling me that the coat like like if it was an invisible coat? Okay, tell me about the invisible coat. Or if you're gonna tell me that if this was a book about Empire Strikes Back, and you're gonna tell me that the coat that they're wearing for Hoth can protect you from negative 125-degree temperatures because that's how cold it was there. I don't actually know how cold it was in Hoth or in and on Hoth, but something like that. Like that would be important for us to know. But just it protects from the elements. Well, okay, it's a coat, of course it does. But I mean that's just my whole point about that. But
no, I get where Mr. Russ is coming from, and Michael, I think you got to go to that timestamp in Last Jedi where Leia is on crate standing in front of that shield door. I think you got to go take a look back at that, where that starts right there, and you'll take both mine and Mr. Rez's meaning when you take a look at it, and you'll get a better understanding what that's about when you see her watching what's going on in front of her with her coat up and a little bit covering her face. You'll take a better meaning of when you see. Go give a look back at Last Jedi, the last half. You'll see what I mean.
I'm doing it right now. I'm doing it right now. I just had to get my remote.
Oh, okay.
That's where I disappeared to for the moment. But okay, it might take me a second to get it because I don't want to stop going through this just to watch that. So, all right. So we have the Resistance takes care not to collect its meager resistance or resources into a single target for the First Order. During the Starkiller crisis, only its starfighter launch base on Dakar is ready to act, while the Resistance fleet and bomber craft ships that would have been useful in the attack are on missions elsewhere. They arrive just in time for Dakar evacuation. What are you doing,
Which-
baby? Okay, I can't read on top of you. My dog's trying to come sit on my lap, but it's not really working with.
As little girls does.
I mean, she's gonna get her way. I'm gonna try and figure out how to get them both on here, but you know, but
Which
she'll
page are we on?
15.
Gotcha.
You want to read that holding the line part, Anthony, and I'll see if I can find this.
Oh, let me see. Where are we at here? Top or bottom? Left or right?
On the right-hand side, right next to Leia's ear.
Oh, holding the line. Gotcha. Through the destruction of Starkiller is an undeniable victory over the First Order. General Organa has no time for celebration. The battle is a costly one, and among the casualties is her husband, Han Solo. That such a personal family tragedy continues to be intertwined with the galactic upheaval is a reoccurring quality of the Skywalker lineage. Leia's strength leads the Resistance through their harried evacuation of Dakar base. But pursuit continues as the First Order hounds the Resistance fleet. Leia is grievously wounded and must spend some time recuperating. It is during these dark days that the next generation of the Resistance leadership must emerge, for Leia will not always be there to guide them. No, she won't. Needs to carry on. Then we can go skip down to having finally pieced together the location of the first Jedi Temple. Leia sends Rey on a mission to recruit Luke Skywalker to the cause. Oh, and Leia wears an Alderaanian signet ring. I know one of our Star Wars podcast friends that wears also such Alderaanian jewelry. And I'm speaking of Claire Stribling from the Imperial Senate podcast. Claire's got that same ring.
Does she?
Yes, she does. She was wearing it at last celebration in Chicago. And thereafter, yes.
I'll have to check it. I'll have to check it.
Ask Miss Claire to share some photo of her. She's got that ring. I've seen it. She's got it.
I mean, I believe you. I'll look and see the pictures that I have that me and Claire have together. If it's if she's got it on, I have to find the picture. It would be easier just for me to say, "Let me see your ring," than to go look through the pictures because I'd have to go and find them all, and not that it's that hard, but okay.
Let's see. We got a couple fact files too. And that comes underneath of what I was saying about the Alderaanian signet ring is the Star Killer crisis becomes a final reunion for Leia Organa and Han Solo, who has become estranged following their son's fall to the dark side. And also, Solo's brash plan of flying through the First Order shields at light speed gives the Resistance access to Starkiller Base. So they did, as we've seen in that story.
All right, now it's not playing. I got it pulled up. I got The Last Jedi pulled up, but it's
Oh, okay.
I just got a circle going around on the screen. I got Luke and Leia staring at each other. That's where it froze. And so we'll see. We'll
Oh,
come back to it.
dang. That just means you're loading.
Yep,
Ain't technology wonderful?
it sure is.
Yeah, only when it works right for you.
So it's cool. So it told us a little bit about Leia. But then I just was flipping through a couple pages and tells us, it goes and advances a little bit. It tells you more about Leia. And then the next page, since we're done with this one, when we click on it, we go to page 16. It's Rey, an awakening. But it also has more about Rey later on in the book. So we're gonna keep learning about these people. They're giving us little tidbits at a time, which is
Yes,
fine.
Rey, an awakening. How many folks didn't ever know that Rey, as we were introduced to her, she was only 19 years old. In her 19th year, Rey's life radically changes from one endless toil and monotonous routine to an adventure that will span the galaxy. Eking out an arduous existence in the sun-scorched junkyards of Jakku, Rey sees herself as a nobody, an anonymous drudge picking through the bones of a galactic history. Grand galactic history. She has heard the legends of great heroes and villains of the past. And though the tales of Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, and Princess Leia fuel her imagination, she sees them as distant, unknowable icons, far beyond her reach. Later would she ever know. That's not in the book.
Oh, that's not.
And her life on Jakku. What passes for an economy on Jakku consists of raiding the hulking ruins left after the Battle of Jakku nearly 30 years earlier. Stripping them of salvageable machinery, Rey becomes very well versed in technology, intrinsically understanding how pieces work together to make a greater whole. By reactivating long dormant flight simulators within canted, dust encrusted Star Destroyer decks, she hones her piloting skills to a fine point, unknowingly bolstered by an innate connection to the Force. Wow! Rey just didn't ever understand what she was going to become.
And that gives some of those idiots out there that call her a Mary Sue.
Mm-hmm.
She's been using a flight simulator, so she knows how to fly.
She does.
The same that Luke in Star Wars was flying basically a car. And then he hops in ships and
Pretty
knows how to
much.
fly those. It's like saying, "Oh, well, I drove a car before, so I can fly an airplane," or "I flew an airplane before, so I can fly a spaceship." That doesn't really go that way. But if you're a 12-year-old kid and you have disbelief, why not? That's what the whole thing's all about, in my opinion. But who am I? Just not an idiot that thinks everything has to be. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm going off on a tangent here about those
No, you're
people.
good. But there was also that story into the Journey to the Force Awakens. was that kind of what's folks call it trifecta story of Ray and Finn and Poe. Oh, what was the first story was concerning Ray when she was on Jakku and scavenging and learning to. She had that just what it said. That was that flight simulator
Yep.
projector. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was that first story. That's how she learned how to pilot. That we was told in that story. If folks have paid that some attention.
Yeah,
That,
and that's why when she gets into the Falcon, she's bouncing around and jumping around because
yes.
you do it in a simulator. That's one thing. You do it in real life. It's a little bit different. So
Yeah, she did it
that's
for
why
real.
she did it in real life. So it took her a second or two to catch on. But
Yep,
you know,
yep.
but then we have Ray when she meets one of her friends down here. Ray's encounters with first BB-8 and then a mysterious man named Finn unlocked a mental cage that has trapped her on Jakku. Both BB-8 and Finn desperately need to get off the desert planet and make contact with the Resistance. As a droid carries valuable information, the compassionate Ray feels she has no choice but to help them. And then we have a picture of FN-2187. He's a stormtrooper deserter. But so there we have the meeting, and then we go up to a picture of Ray with a bunch of stuff. It looks like um, Ray brings her scavenged and polished wares to Unkar Plutt, the Odysseus junk boss of Nema Outpost. Plutt has known Ray for most of her life, serving as a mean spirited guardian to the abandoned girl. This is not due to any sense of compassion on his part. Plutt saw potential profits in a scavenger small enough to fit inside most compact wreckage.
Mm-hmm. He did.
And then this is exactly what we're talking about. We were talking about where Ray plays a little bit of bumper cars. Oh, really quick. So when Leia uses it to guard her coat to guard herself, is that before or after Luke runs out to fight Kylo? Is that before?
Before.
All right, so
Yep.
I'm gonna need to rewind this a second here because I'm at Kylo just yelling more, more.
Think you're going to need to skip back maybe another minute or two or three. Not much more than that.
Okay. Is it before Finn tries to go into the around the same time? Because right now I got Finn. This is I think I've said this before, but this is amazing. So I only got a 1080 TV, but
Okay.
I'm watching it in 4K, and the picture is so
Okay.
much better. Even though I don't have 4K, it's still a 1080, but it's so much better than if I was watching it in 1080. So, all right, we'll see. Poe's going up with. They're all riding, going with the red sand. So, is it? We'll see what happens. I might if I have to go back a little bit further, or not. But let's keep going with this.
Yes, let's.
Though Ray has piloted suborbital craft in the past, prior to her encounter with Finn, she has never flown beyond Jakku's atmosphere. Her reluctance to depart the desert worlds stems from the hope that her family will someday return for her. This choice is stripped from her after a run-in with a resistance droid and a stormtrooper deserter. And that's where they showed us the picture of the deserter. And we also know that Ray was going to leave Jakku, and rebuilt a ship. Some people, and before they could leave, they stole the ship on her.
Yes, they did. That's also from that story about Ray for the why am I blanking on it? The Journey to the Rise Awake, the Force Awakens. That's in that story. Yes, she found the ship and she made some friends, and them friends that she thought she had, they stole that ship right out from under her. And I know those two friends' names, but they're blanking on me. Yes, Journey to the Force Awakens. That story in that book about Ray, yeah, that's just what you said, Michael. That's a really good story. And I'm blanking on the details because that was like 5 years ago. And I never get that story to listen once, but that adds into this. That's very relevant.
So, all right, here we go. Is the part that you were telling me to look at Ray or with Leia covering her face? Is it
Mhm.
before? Is it before or after Ray comes back with the Millennium Falcon? Is Leia covering her face before that?
Oh, now I want to go. See, now you're making me want to go and open up another new page to look and find. I want to say it's before. Yeah, it's
Okay.
before.
Because this is I don't know. I'm just kind of in awe about how great this looks with the you know the 4K and
Yeah,
um
yeah.
and not having a 4K TV and it still looks so great. Especially when they're on crate there. That's one of the things people forget about the last Skywalker or the last Skywalker, the Last Jedi is the cinematography in that movie, how it's just shot differently than the other movies were. And Ryan Johnston is such an amazing director that
Mm-hmm.
he shot a film where JJ shoots a movie. And anybody that wants to start hating on me, you know where to find me on Twitter. Or leave your comments below. Make sure you subscribe first, though. That's all we care about.
So I can go troll hunting and block you. Anybody wants to come hating on Michael, come here in the comments because I will find you. I'm a troll hunter. That's my job. That's what I do. And you will be gone. Bye-byes.
I think I went back too far because DJ's on screen now, but I'll find it later. I'll find it and watch later on so that we can get going on with this book because I don't think we have too much longer tonight to be going.
I'm thinking we don't too. Where'd we leave off at? We are at.
Well, we're on page 17 right now. I don't even know how long we've been recording for. What time is it? 9. Oh, we're going on an hour and a half. Yeah. So
As we do. As
mhm.
we do. This is what we do. This is
So
the way.
this is the way. Oh, here's the throne room scene where they're fighting with their lightsabers. This is such a great movie.
It is. Surely is.
Oh, it's my favorite. It's the best Star Wars movie, I think. And it's kind of hard to say what your favorite it's hard for me to say what my favorite is, because it depends what kind of mood I'm in, which one I want to watch, and Solo's the most fun. If you want to talk about the out of the 9 movies, this, even though this is really heavy and deep, I can still sit down and watch it or have it in the background playing all the time. That's before I got into. I know I've said it before. I used to know every trivia question and every answer because all I did was watch the movies over and over and over again. I was watching at least one movie a day, and now I don't have time for that. So there's times, I didn't watch a movie for probably 5 or 6 months. You forget a lot of that stuff. But anyways, let's get back to this book because we're gonna have to call it quits here pretty soon. This is going to be the last page, I think, for tonight.
17.
Okay, so this is the continuation of the Ray, not the Ray, but of Ray, of the Ray section. I know all about waiting for my family. They'll be back one day. That is a quote from Ray. That is in The Force Awakens. That is when she's talking about how she wants to wait for her family. Yeah, so there's that. They have a picture of her goggles that she wears. They're military grade polarized lenses. They cut down on glare. They're goggles made from a stormtrooper helmet.
Hey, I have a stormtrooper helmet.
But you have Ray's goggles.
I'd love to think that Ray had my lenses in my helmet, but that's not to be.
So our data file subject is Ray. Her home world is Jakku, which that's debatable.
It is.
Because she grew up on Jakku, but that's not really.
Hey, well, hold on. Let's take a hard left, because I'm looking at that picture of Ray with her goggles above her on her forehead, where it says, "Though Ray has heard tales of the Force and the Jedi, she finds it easier to believe that they are fanciful myths and something real to hope for."
All right.
Then there's a timeline that goes 19 years before Starkiller incident. Ray is born on Unknown World. 13 years before Starkiller incident. Ray abandoned on Jakku to Unkar Plutt's custody. She still remembers the Bestoon legacy flying away. Oh, there's that ship's name. 10 years before Starkiller incident. Ray's education in technology begins as she becomes one of Unkar Plutt's most reliable scavengers. Who'd have thought? 0 years before Starkiller incident. Ray meets Finn, leaves Jakku, and encounters Han Solo and General Leia Organa. Also, 0 years before Starkiller incident. Ray trains. I'd like to think of that as 2 of 3 lessons. That's not really training, it's a couple lessons. Under Luke Skywalker, and makes a sworn enemy of Kylo Ren. 1 year after Starkiller incident, Rey continues her training, also lessons, in the ways of the Jedi under Leia Organa.
And then underneath that, we have Who Are You? Rey's greatest weakness stems from her lack of identity. Having seen fellow scavengers work a fruitfulest lifetime in the Jakku deserts, she has never dared hope for an existence of greater meaning. Kylo Ren's probing of her mind reveals these fears to him, and he bludgeons her with harsh words that strike at her greatest dread, that she was abandoned as trash by indifferent parents who are long dead. The sting of these words makes the truth behind them hard to judge. As time passes, she becomes as time passes, she comes to recognize Kylo's gambit as a cruel one and struggles to focus on the family she has now, as opposed to the one she never knew.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of, you know, the Jedi have the mind. I have in one of the books I got recently. Not that that really narrows it down because that's probably since I've been doing this show about 30 or 40 books. It talks about the difference and powers, and the Sith do a mind probe, where the Jedi do the mind trick. Although in Clone Wars, I believe the Jedi do a mind probe of I can't think of his name right now. The Blue Bounty Hunter, Cad Bane.
Yes.
They do a mind probe of Cad Bane.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
And it was 4 or 5 of them doing it to make sure that they were able to do it, so that he couldn't resist.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. The Jedi used a Sith power.
Ooh, they do. Oh, that's dark. Wow.
But drastic times call for drastic measures, I believe.
They do. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. That's another step in the downfall of the Jedi. Wow. That gets deep and wide real quick. Wow.
And then we have, to finish the data file. So it says homeward for Rey is Jakku, but we know Rey wasn't. Well, we don't know if where Rey was born. We know that Rey was left there. We don't know where she, if was she born there? Were her parents there hiding because her dad was trying to hide from the Emperor? It's just kind of weird that they can use force powers, Jedi or Sith, and at other times they can't find their offspring.
No, I don't think she was born there. I really believe that her mom and dad took her there to hide her. They had every best intention for her to be safe.
I'm gonna have to try and see. Was she? She wasn't born in Exegol, was she?
No, not think so. No, somewhere in galaxy, because Exegol's outside of the galaxy. It's in the unknown regions. No, Rey was born in galaxy, as I understand.
Okay. Well, let's see. And then we have. Oh, okay. Here we go again with stupid shit they tell us. Bindings keep out sun and sand. So Rey's clothes keep the sand off her body and keep the sun from burning her skin.
Yes.
Like everybody else that wears clothes. Okay. Thanks for telling us that.
Well, take a look at Tatooine. When we see Owen Lars and also Luke, and also how we come to understand who we know from my time as Ben Kenobi, but who we know as Obi-Wan. Yeah, on Tatooine, when you cover yourself up, the sun don't hurt you. That's why they wear them kind of clothes and coverings, is because you're not exposed to the sun.
I understand that, but why do you have to tell me that in this book? Because it's just common sense that, the same reason that I'm going to put a coat on when I go outside is to keep me from the elements right now because it's 25 degrees outside in New York City. Or when I'm in California in a few months, hopefully being able to do some live streaming for everyone doing live chats when I'm there, I'm probably going to be having some sunscreen on, or I'm going to be wearing, if it's not too hot, a long sleeve shirt so I don't get too sunburned. Or I'm going to have on underwear so that my penis doesn't get sunburned when I'm at the beach. It's like, why don't they have that?
Yeah, you understand that, Michael, and I understand that, but there's many a modern day folk out there that ain't paying attention and not thinking. Yeah, them folks don't. They need to explain to them because they're not paying attention. But that's maybe meant more for folks like us that can understand.
I'm actually impressed. I used like a real word for something and didn't say like my cock and balls or something. I used a nice word. That was very impressive.
You just said it, so there we go.
Well, all right. Well, but anyways, Ray, who's a cutie,
she is
a resistance. Her affiliation is resistance and Jedi. Her height is 1.7 meters. And for those of you who don't speak non-American, it is 5 feet 7 inches, and she is 20 standard years old. Her staff at
speak basic.
Yes,
not English basic.
Well, no, I didn't. I meant for meters, but all right. So her staff, Ray is extraordinary dexterous. Okay, something that it might be good to know. Not like she wears clothes so she doesn't get sunburn. That's nice to know. She salvaged insulated power conduit turned into a quarterstaff. Okay, something that's interesting to know. We wouldn't know that from just looking at it.
No.
Determined sell is scan surroundings for danger. Determined salvagers gaze, scan surroundings for dangers and opportunities. So she has eyes that she uses to see if things are dangerous or opportunistic. See, that's another one that I don't know. Like I think they just wanted to put stuff in there. Like her eyes. She uses her eyes to scan for danger. Isn't that what most people do?
Well, I'm looking at dark-haired, dark-eyed girl, and those are two of my most dangerous weaknesses. But like what you said earlier, I'm seeing a dark-haired, dark-eyed cutie, and what she's doing with her eyes, I've been distracted a little bit.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, that's going to do it for page 17. So we got through a couple pages.
We've been through quite a few pages, and it was fun.
Yeah, I had a good time.
Me too.
That's going to do it for today. Thank you, everybody that is in the chat, that came in to hang out in the chat. Let's see if we can get back over to here now.
Yes, I got to go and take a look. My humble apologies to Mr. Rez and Miss Christina and whoever else might be. I'm just taking a look. It looked like Mr. Rez, Miss Christina. My humble apologies that I ain't nearly been paying attention because I'm I'm a troll hunter. It's my job to keep attention on the live chat. But
Well, I've been watching. They didn't really have any questions or anything. But here's a sneak
no,
peek for you. The next time I get on here to talk about it, we will be doing Taco Donna.
there we go. This is where we'll pick up.
This is the way.
As we're told.
Uh,
This is the way.
all right. Oh. And speaking of, you talked about celebration earlier. Here's my
Yes!
one of my
Look at that.
many celebration shirts that I have.
I think you need to start a Twitter feed with your many Star Wars celebration shirts and showing us what you got. Because you'll get many likes.
I can't even keep what I have together. Started a new thing. I can't even. Anthony. I have trouble doing my calendar that I do every day. And that's just taking a
I can
picture.
believe that.
Taking a picture, put a couple of hashtags on it. Because depending on how my travels go, I leave. Since I've been working mornings, I leave. I walk to the train. I get to the train, and I put in my podcast that I listen to. The night since the last time I posted it. Sometimes I already have a couple in there. Sometimes, whatever. And then I'm gonna go and do that. Half the time I've been forgetting to put it on my Instagram, so I'll go to put it on my Instagram, and I'm missing 2 days worth on Instagram. So I just got to go back and do them really quick. But yeah, it's just I love sharing content and things with my friends, and I'm hopefully gonna be able to. Well, I'll definitely be going on Monday. Just not sure if it'll be the normal 8:30 time or not. It might be a little later. I'm not sure, but if it might be it might be it might be it might be 9 to 9:30. Just a little quick say hello to everybody, and don't really know. It might be Tuesday when I get home, or Wednesday when I get home. Just to throw the Bacta tank on there. But we'll and but we will definitely have that Monday one on the 24th, and talk about Project Luminous, and not just Project Luminous.
No.
Something else to talk about. Episode 1 of Clone Wars. So we're gonna have episode 1 of Clone Wars. We're gonna have Project Luminous. I'm probably gonna have some stuff to open. Well, I know I will. I never ordered from GameStop the 2 Black series. I was gonna do it. I said I'll do it later, and forgot to do it before it came out. And now they're out, and I can't find them because they only have them if you pre-ordered. So I have my store said they're gonna watch for them, or if they get any more in, hold them for me. The guy texted me and said, "Hey, if nobody picks them up, I'll hold them for you because you have to pre-order them." But everybody that pre-ordered them picked them up, so I couldn't get any of those today. So I'm a little upset about that. But yeah, we'll see. We'll get them. But yeah, so
before we go, I want to ask you: did you get to give a listen to them Star Wars Underworld boys, Chris, Dominic, and Ben this week?
I did.
You did? Almost nearly 3 hours long.
Yep.
Wow. All right, you're ahead of me, buddy. I got to catch up because
I'm well, you got to remember my playlist isn't nearly as long as it used to be.
No, mine ain't recently nearly either.
So, there's a couple friends in there that I think I'm missing, and I don't realize that I'm missing them until I realize I'm missing them, and then it's like, oh, sure, I haven't been listening to them for a couple months or whatever, and yeah, so we'll see. Yeah, I listened to that one today. When I was I rebelled for that one. Had a little rebellion going on. I had to stay and work a little bit
Alrighty.
late, so I rebelled a little bit. Um,
As we
but yeah,
do.
yeah. So, well, that's gonna do it for today.
Yep,
Let's
this is a
see.
Friday. We'll see us on Monday.
I thought I had something here. I guess I
Such
didn't.
as.
The Holocron house
There
at
we
the
go.
bottom there. I just hadn't. Yeah. So that's what we got. This is the Holocron house. We're on page. We finished page 17. We're going to be starting with page 18 next time. Only 200 more pages to go.
A lot of pages. Are we going to
Lot of
find
pages.
this on your? Are we going to find this on your Anchor podcast app? Or are
No,
we going to find it here on YouTube?
nope, just on YouTube.
Alrighty. So friends,
Just,
and
yeah, this one's just sticking on YouTube, and I got some editing and stuff I have to do that I might
Yep.
throw on for my Patreons, my patrons. I might throw something up on a Patreon feed for them.
I'm a Patreon. Become a Patreon like me. Come on, friends, pick them up.
Every little bit helps.
It does.
Every lot of it helps.
It does.
You know. That, like I who was for the price of a cup of coffee, give me the money. Skip your cup of coffee, and you know what you need to do if you if you stop at Starbucks every day, buy yourself a Keurig. Don't go to Starbucks for a month. The Keurig will pay for itself, and you can start giving me money. There you go. And then after celebration's over, you can stop sending me money if you want to, and go back to Starbucks.
I'm a Patreon once, and I'm a Patreon for life. And folks don't want to go know how RB makes his coffee, because I get mine for free. Hot coffee, cold coffee, I got my coffee for free. You want to know how? Ask me in a DM.
All right. Well, everyone, thanks for stopping by. This was session number 2 of the Holocron House, doing the Rise of Skywalker visual dictionary. I gave you a little bit of VD on Valentine's Day. A little bit of VD love on Valentine's Day. So take that how you will.
See what he did there.
Mm-hmm.
Good night, friends.
All right.
May the force be with you.
Thank you, everyone, for stopping by. May the force be with you.